Here with me, I've got different types of oils and I want us to dive and dissect them. When you see 5W30, 5W40, 10W40, what do these numbers mean? But before I get into that, I want us to understand about purposes or functions of oil in your engine. So when we talk about engine oil, it serves quite a number of purposes. The main one is what we call lubrication. Lubrication, that is because the engine has so many components, the pistons that are moving up and down, that require proper lubrication. So the main one is lubrication. That is to prevent accelerated wear and tear. All right? Number two is what we call cooling. The engine is always running and a lot of heat, a lot of high temperatures are generated inside the engine. So what the oil does is it's able to wash away the heat, ensuring that the engine runs at optimum temperatures. Now, the third purpose is known as cleaning, right? I know maybe this one may come as a surprise, but anyway, the engine oil also serves the purpose of cleaning. What do I mean by cleaning? When combustion is happening, a lot of carbon is produced, or what we call soot, and this soot may be deposited on the engine components. So what the oil does is that it carries away the soot, it cleans the components, ensuring that the components are running efficiently and effectively. So those are the three purposes of engine oil. Now let me talk about something about different types of oils. Oils are in three types, the ones that we have in the market, or let me just talk about the local market. The first one is what we call mineral oil. Now, mineral oil is just refined from crude oil, so it is naturally occurring. Now, after mineral oil, we have another one that we call synthetic, or let me just call it fully synthetic. Now, when you talk about synthetic oil, this one is oil that has been chemically engineered in the lab. And the reason as to why it's chemically engineered is because it's supposed to serve a specific purpose, as in it's engineered to ensure that it enhances the performance of the engine. Now, that is for fully synthetic oil. Now, there is another one that is in between the mineral oil and the synthetic oil. And this is what we call, number 3, as semi-synthetic oil. That is because it's a crossbreed of mineral oil, or a mixture of mineral oil and fully synthetic oil. Now, what I have over here with me today is fully synthetic oil, and that is what I'm going to major on. When you talk about fully synthetic oil, as I've said, it's chemically engineered. That means the quality is top-notch. How the functionality is also on another level, ensuring the longevity of your engine. When you talk about mineral oil, I've said they are naturally occurring, but when they're naturally occurring, maybe their efficiency and their functionality is slightly lower compared to fully synthetic oils. Now, the upside of mineral oil is that they are cheap to buy. These ones, they're cheap to buy, but the fully synthetic ones, they are expensive. But no, they're expensive for a reason. That is because they're enhanced, all right? They come with cleaning additives, they come with performance additives. Okay, they are well engineered to ensure that they cater for efficiency and effective running of your engine. Now, let me dive into grades of engine oil. 5W30, 5W40, 10W40. What do they mean? Let me clear out here so that I can explain it to you in details. Because those numbers are just not there just for the sake of being there, but they symbolize something. They stand for something, and when you understand about what these numbers stand for, then it helps you understand the oils better. So let me write this down. I've got 5W30, all right? I've got 5W40, and I've got 10W, okay, I'm sure, let me just write here, 10W40. What do these numbers mean? For us to understand these numbers, we have to understand about something we call viscosity. I know most of us in our science classes, we came across this word somewhere. If not science, is it chemistry or physics? Either of the two places. We came across the name viscosity. What is viscosity? In simple terms, viscosity is the resistance of fluid to flow. So this one is resistance. How long is the fluid dragging itself before it drips down? All right, now let me assume over here, I've got fluids. This is fluid number 1. This one is fluid number 2. this one is fluid number 3. All of them are on the same level and you're pouring them out. Assume you have cup 1, cup 2, cup 3, and there are 3 different fluids. Now you're pouring them out from a distance. So when you talk about fluid 1, it flows a very long way. That is fluid number 1. Now fluid that is in cup 2, it flows a considerable distance, maybe up to there. And now fluid number 3, it flows a very short distance, up to there. This one is flowing a very long distance. This one a very short distance. This one is intermediate. Now, when you talk about viscosity, when you talk about fluid that is in cup A, it has very low viscosity. It means it has very little resistance to flow. That is why it is flowing for a considerable distance. All right? Now, when you talk about fluid that is in cup 3, it has flowed for a very short distance. That means there is a lot of resistance to flow. That means fluid number 3 has high viscosity. I hope we are together up to that point. When a fluid has low viscosity, it flows for a very long distance. When it has high viscosity, there is a lot of resistance to flow, so it flows for a very short distance. Now, let me get back to my numbers. We've got the 5W30, 5W40, 10W40. When you talk about 5, it represents the viscosity of oil when the engine is cold. All right? The W represents winter. So in short, cold, when the engine is cold. So 5W30, 5 is the viscosity when the engine is cold, and 30 is the viscosity when the engine is at optimum temperatures. Let me actually ensure that I can write clearly for easy understanding. Let me do it in a very expounded way. So here I've got 5W30. All right. Here I've got 5W40. And down here I've got 10W40. So you see this number? 5, 5, 10. That is viscosity when the engine is cold. All right, and as I've said, W stands for winter. So in short, when the engine is cold. Now let's look at the numbers on this other side. We've got 30, we've got 40, we've got 40. This one is the viscosity of oil when the engine has attained optimum temperatures. So this side is cold, this one is after the engine has obtained optimum operating temperatures. That is the viscosity of oil. So why the difference? The difference as to why we need to have these different viscosities is because when the engine is cold, understand one thing, the oil has to be thick. Oh no, sorry. When the engine is cold, the oil needs to be easily maneuver in the components for proper lubrication. Because if you crank the engine and the oil is not able to maneuver, then it will result into aggravated wear and tear. That is why at 5W40, that's why at the viscosity of 5, the engine oil is fluid enough to lubricate the engine so that when the engine is starting, there is no grinding of parts, there is no premature wear and tear. But now, when the engine has heated up, it's already at its optimum temperatures, we also need the oil to form a layer of protection on the moving parts. That is why the viscosity is low. The viscosity is low when the engine is cold and high when the engine is hot. When temperatures are being produced, understand one thing about the temperatures that are produced in the engine. They are really high. And the components of the engine, they are metallic. So we need them well protected. We need them well layered to prevent accelerated wear and tear. Because when the components wear out, the engine fails on you, the car fails on you. I hope you understand up to that point. We've understood what the 5 means and the 30 and the 40 means. Now let's understand, when do we use 5W30? And for that, I'll use the specific oil I have over here. That is because manufacturers always give a recommendation for every product they design. And when you look into this one, I don't know if the camera can come in closer, but anyway, let me just read it out to you. It says that 5W30, it is recommended for modern petrol cars. All right, modern petrol cars. So when you talk about 5W30, it's good for modern petrol cars. So let me write, let me wrap it out. My board I think is small, eh? Do I need a bigger board than this really? But anyway, let's dissect them one by one. And I'll start with 5W30. When you talk about 5W30, this one is meant for modern diesel cars. So modern diesel cars are best suited to be put 5W30. Now, let me go to the next one. This one is 5W40. So 5W40, as the manufacturer says, it is recommended for oil hybrids and also light duty diesel cars. So when you talk about 5W40, it is meant for hybrids and also light duty diesel. Light duty diesel, when I talk about light duty diesel, I'm talking about small diesel cars, all right? Maybe the turbos, maybe the sedans that come with diesel. 5W40 is best suited for them. Another thing to note about 5W40, it's also very good for turbocharged cars. May they be diesel, may they be petrol. Why turbocharged cars? Any car that has a turbocharger, then it goes without saying that a lot of heat is being produced, all right? A lot of heat that needs to be taken away from the engine. That is why there's a difference. We've got 30, we've got 40. This viscosity is lower, this viscosity is higher. And now when something is operating at higher temperatures, just like I previously said, we need a layer or a protection to ensure that the components do not wear out. So 5W40 for any turbocharged light diesel or turbocharged petrol, 5W40 is the way to go. I hope you're together up to that point. Now, let me go to 10W40. 10W40, and I'll read from the sample I already have here. And by the way, the samples are using from Enoch Energies, as in Enoch Oil, sorry. These are their products. And that is because that's the product we use here in Precision Automotive. Now, when you talk about 10W40, the manufacturer has recommended that it is fully synthetic oil for diesel engine oil. And it goes on to say that it is suited for diesel engines in heavy equipment, trucks, buses, and the likes. So this one is for heavy duty diesel. When I talk about heavy duty diesel, in this part I also include old diesel cars, right? Old diesel cars. And the reason as to why I'm putting them in this category is when you talk about old cars, they have gone for quite a journey. They have been running on our roads for quite some time. That goes without saying that the engine components have taken a toll due to age factor. So there is a lot of wear and tear on the engine components. And when there is a lot of wear and tear on the engine components, then we need more lubrication. We need a thicker layering, a thicker covering so that the components can function efficiently. So 10W40 is meant for heavy duty diesel and also old cars, heavy machinery. This one is well suited for them, the 10W40. Now you may ask me you may maybe pose a question to me and ask me, which oil should I go for? That is because in your user manual or the recommendations from the manufacturer may be different from what I've highlighted over here. Understand one thing, it's always good to consult from your user manual or from the manufacturer's recommendation. But there are two things you need to factor in as you do that. Number one is age of the car. When the manufacturer is recommending this and this oil for this car, it is when the car is brand new, 0 mileage car. Now, most of the cars we import in Kenya, they are 8 years and above. Those cars have been in operation elsewhere. So when you factor in the 8 years of age, then it goes without saying that there has been some wear and tear that has occurred. You need to factor that in. Another thing you need to factor in is climate. What do I mean by climate? Recently, a client came in and told me that my manufacturer recommendation is to use, let me write it over here, is to use what we call the oil of, let me write it with a blue pen, 0. Okay, this blue pen of mine is whack, so let me just stick to my black pen. So the manufacturer's recommendation was 0W30. All right, 0. So what that means is That is the recommendation in winter climates, as in those cold places where they experience winter. But here in our country, in our beloved country of Kenya, we do not experience winter. So if we don't experience winter, then the temperatures here are high because we're in tropic climate. So this oil is not like really viable in the climate you live in. That is something you need to factor into. Factor in the age of the car, factor in the climate that you're driving that car in. When you do that, you'll also ensure that the engine is well lubricated, the engine is well cooled, the engine is well cleaned, and the car will serve you well. So yeah, I hope I have dissected what the numbers on the engine oil mean, and I hope you've understood. So yeah, let's keep it here for real.